Hiya, and welcome back to Adastra, the game that makes up, like, a large chunk of my content on TikTok, not YouTube, though. Which, speaking of TikTok, I gotta put in, like, tags real quick. Oh fuck, I forgot to put in, like, the meme shit. Alright. Well, let's just hop right in. Sorry it took me, like, a bit just to, like, get that in. I completely forgot about it. We finally reached the main entrance to the palace just as we turn into the Great Hall. Okay, just uploaded. But I will figure that out later. Amicus. A high sing-song voice echoes around the marble walls as a slight wolfish figure quickly approaches us. A wolf I can only imagine is Virginia walks up to Amicus. She places both paws on his shoulders and leans in, pressing the side of her face to his. Hi, Virginia. Virginia pulls back, rolling her eyes. I don't know if you saw, like, my earlier Twitter post, but, like, I swear to God. Just, Amicus, I took your place on a trip around the moon for a full week, and your only response is, hi? Sorry, I'm not feeling all that well. Oh, was Kato too rough with you during training? Shall I have a word with him? No, I'm just sore. You could use a shower too. You smell dreadful. We were swimming in the lake. Never mind. I should be getting back to my room. Enough with the dour mood, Amicus. Not until we introduce our guests to each other. Virginia looks right at me over Amicus's shoulder. Amicus sighs, then reaches his paw to me. I walk over to him, letting the wolf place his paw on my shoulder. This is Marco. He's an abandoned child. Oh, fascinating. I thought Cass was pulling my tail in his letters. Virginia stretches out a paw. I stand there awkwardly, unsure of what to do, so I reach out and take her paw in my hand. Then another pause, I lean down and brush my lips on her fur like I'd seen people do in movies. Interesting. It seems they have some sort of etiquette. I step back, keeping my head down. A bit, yes. Now where's the Kemian? Manners, Amicus. He's examining the murals. She turns to her right, raising her voice a bit. Neferu, could you come over and meet my brother, please? There's a moment of silence, then soft footsteps. A canine appears around the corner, his fur much darker than the wolf's, almost pitch black. He's covered in gold highlights, and immediately I'm struck by how he looks. Not because his presence is impressive, it definitely is, but mostly because he reminds me of something on Earth. Not just something, but an entire thing. A culture. As I stare, I realize that he's not looking at Amicus, but at me. I quickly look down again, not wanting to draw attention to myself. Neferu, this is my brother Amicus. Amicus bows his head lightly in Neferu bows his head lightly and slightly in Amicus's direction. Hello, thank you for letting me take up residence in your palace. It is indeed beautiful. It's hard to describe, but I immediately know that Neferu is speaking a different language than the wolves. It has a different feel in my brain, like a different dialect. Certainly, you'll have to excuse my appearance. I was just out combat training. Oh, I see. It must have been a rough session by the looks of it. Neferu gives Amicus a cool smile, and Amicus can only manage a grunt in response, self-consciously running a paw over his head fur. That's when Neferu turns his cool blue gaze on me. And who might you be? Open my mouth to answer, then catch myself and quickly look back down. This is Marco, my pet. He's an abandoned child. Amicus says it quickly, putting his paw on my shoulder again while gently pulling me in the direction of his room. It was wonderful meeting you, but now I must be off to my shower. Nefero offers his paw to me. I pause again, but Amicus just stares at Nefero, so I take it and do the same as I did with Virginia. Nefero lets out a soft chuckle as I let go of his paw. What a fascinating creature. Do you speak? I make sure to give a long pause, then... little. I see. Nefero keeps his eyes fixed on me, and I have to wonder why the hell he's taken such an interest. Ahem. Amicus draws me close to his side with the paw before starting to walk in the direction of the hall. If you'll excuse us, I need my pet's assistance in the showers. Pleasure meeting you. Virginia, who had been silent throughout, smiles. Don't worry, Nefero, we just caught my brother in a bad mood. Usually he's much more friendly. I can hear you, Virginia. I'm still here. So you are, yet you said you had to be off. We shall speak more in depth in the evening, perhaps when you've stopped sulking. Amicus grunts non-committally and pulls me along toward his bedroom. As we arrive at Amicus's room, there's a cart of flatbread, vegetables, and a bowl of sauce sitting outside the door. I've come to realize that there are two main meals in the day, breakfast and dinner with a sort of midday snack in between. Amicus grabs the cart and shoves it into the room toward the sofa, almost rattling the contents to the floor. Then without a word, he heads straight to the shower, leaving me to sit on the couch while I frown at the door. At first, I think about calling him out on his bad mood when he comes back out, maybe go on about how I didn't ask to be here and him being an ass only makes it worse. But then I start to realize that maybe I wouldn't be so happy myself if I'd gotten my ass kicked in front of my friends. I spend the next 15 minutes or so spreading the orange-colored sauce on the flatbread before sprinkling the vegetables on top and rolling it into a wrap. It's good, and the sauce is one of the first spicy things that I've experienced on this moon. And Amicus comes back out looking particularly fluffy. I'm about to ask if he wants to get brushed, but he just falls back onto his bed with a groan. You alright? Never better. A few of the chopped peppers fall out of my wrap onto the sofa, and I quickly pick them back up and set them on the cart. This is actually really good. I'm starting to worry that you guys didn't have food with actual flavor here. You know, the country where you guys uplifted, Italy, it's known for its food. Actually, before you took me, I had this trip planned to go to Naples, which is a few hours outside of Rome, just to try the pizza. Do you have pizza here? Amicus gazes at me with a frown. I wonder if he understood a single thing I said. No. Well, it's sort of like this if I'd kept it flat and we baked it. Anyway, you want some? I hold up my wrap with a smile. Amicus glares. I just had my guts squashed flatter than the flatbread, and you're assuming I still have an appetite? I quickly lower it. Oh yeah, sorry. Dude, I know you just got your ass kicked, but seriously, that's no excuse to be an ass. Like, dude, stop being an ass. Water. Amicus goes on staring at the ceiling while I nibble on the food, though I'm not really all that hungry anymore. Then Amicus sighs deeply, covering his face with his paws. I'm sorry, I've just been thinking a lot is all. About? Amicus just shakes his head, continuing to rub his brow. Well, how sore I am, for one. I look over the wolf, then remember what he'd said last night about the massage. I think about it for a moment. Amicus has been trying to make me as comfortable as possible throughout the few days I've been here, minus the sofa. I feel like I kinda owe it to him. You want a massage? I see Amicus freeze up, his face still covered with his paws until he finally lowers them, his expression almost comical. What? I feel myself turning red. I asked if you want a massage. I thought you didn't want to. Well, I never really gave you an answer, did I? Amicus narrows his eyes. I don't want to force you into something you don't want to do. Well, I'm offering, but if you don't want it... I start to sit back down. Amicus's ears fall flat. No, please do. I try to hide my smile as I get back up and approach the bed. Amicus just sort of watches me, half sitting up. Once I get to the edge of the bed, I pause. So what do I do? Amicus rolls over onto his front. Well, honestly, I don't know how it's supposed to be done, but you could start with some light rubbing. Cautiously, I get up onto the bed on my knees, trying not to get tangled up in my robe as I scoot closer. Tentatively, I reach out and touch the wolf's back. Amicus inhales gently, his back rising against my fingers. Then slowly, I start to massage, starting on his thick neck before slowly rubbing my way down. I don't know the first thing about massaging, so I just do what feels natural, and Amicus seems to like it. When I reach his mid-back, he grunts. A little more gentle there, got scraped on the stairs. I pause, then tease through the fur a bit and find a small, fresh scab right on Amicus's spine. I pet the fur back down before moving past it, working my thumbs into the muscles on either side of the wolf's spine. Kato's an asshole. Amicus lets out a choked cough of surprise. Marco, don't say that. He's the acting emperor. Well, he is. If you must say it, at least keep your voice down. I swear, Cassius sometimes has his ear pressed to my door. Amicus moans as I start on his neck again. I press harder than I had last time, really sinking into the muscle. The wolf's body melts into the bed, and I grin with satisfaction as I keep up the pressure down the rest of his back. It would be easier if I were straddling him, but I don't know how I feel about doing that just yet. Amicus is quiet for a few minutes while I work. Then he sighs. He was right, though. I still act like a pup. I need to be more serious. I frown. What do you mean? Cato had every right to beat me. I haven't been acting very much like an emperor lately. I shake my head. First of all, no one should be beaten. Second, Cassius acts like a child, or pup. I mean, you might sometimes act a little immature, but he's a brat. You're fine if he's the one you're competing with. Besides, you're a lot of fun to be around. If I were a wolf, I would think it's pretty cool to have an emperor as nice and fun as you are. Oh, really? Then I suppose things are different here. I forgot myself at the lake today, and when Cato caught me teasing you... Amicus presses his face into the pillow, cringing. Can you not have fun as the prospective emperor? Not really. Cassius hasn't been out in the lake for years. Sometimes I think something is wrong with me, that I still enjoy such things. I think, trying to decide whether my opinion is worth anything on this alien moon. Well, I don't think so. People our age on Earth do way dumber stuff to have fun, and it's considered normal. Even when you get older, you're expected to do things you enjoy. Otherwise, what's the point of life? We're only here for a moment before we die, and that's it. I can't help but feel that my argument is a bit amateurish. Amicus doesn't seem convinced either. Well, first of all, the point of my life is to lead my people to a better future. Secondly, we become one with the parents when we die. I frown. Become one? What, do they, absorb your soul or something? I stifle my chuckle when I see that Amicus is still very serious. No, well, I don't know, but our consciousness joins theirs, and we go on to spread throughout the universe together. Huh. Is there proof of this? Did they say that's what happens? Of course. Think of questioning him further, but right now I'm not really in the mood to debate anything religious with this wolf. His mind seems to be on the having fun issue anyway. Well, I will say that Roman emperors on Earth had a lot of fun. I laugh. There was an emperor named Elagabalus that didn't really give a shit about what the people thought of him. He had all the fun and sex he wanted. Oh. Amicus sounds amused. Then I wince, remembering that no one really liked Elagabalus, and he was killed along with his male lover. Then his beheaded body was dragged through the streets of Rome. Well, I think balance is a good thing to have in life. Be serious when you need to be, have fun when you can. Amicus just grunts again, and I go on rubbing for a while longer. Oh, so while I was at my studies, I had some time in the library myself. I found this primate species in the general vicinity of your star. They were part of a failed uplift and looked generally similar to you. A lot hairier, but I don't think anyone will notice. The name they have for themselves isn't pronounceable by us, but we named them the Simanians, so if anyone asks you what you are, tell them that. Oh, okay. I repeat the word in my head, trying to memorize it. Also, I would recommend avoiding that Chemian. I didn't like the looks of him. Why not? I don't know, but his demeanor was rather rude. I've heard they are an arrogant people, but to see it in person, I almost laugh at the hypocrisy of that statement. I'd pointed out if Amicus wasn't being so grumpy right now. And the way he looked at you didn't sit well with me. Just be sure you watch out for him. I didn't really see much of a difference between the Pharaoh and the wolves aside from appearance, but Amicus seems genuinely concerned. Alright. Amicus grunts in response, and I go on rubbing for a little while longer. Then Amicus rolls over. I pause. Amicus suddenly opens his eyes as if realizing what he's doing. Oh, do I do your front too? Well, Often after I get my massages, my drone rubs me, helps me fall asleep for my afternoon naps. Rubs you where? Amicus's ears turn bright red. My belly. I laugh. Don't laugh, you're the one that wanted to know. I hesitate, then almost automatically my hand reaches out and starts to rub. Amicus is tense at first, then starts to relax. The blush in his ears receding. You're such a canine. I am a canine. The fur, fluffy and disheveled from the shower, smooths down against the wolf's thick stomach, his belly rising and falling against my hand. In his relaxed state, his stomach is soft under the fur, and I press down a bit more firmly to really rub at it. Amicus grunts and winces a bit. Too hard? Just sore, but keep doing. It feels good. As I continue to rub, his eyes close and his muzzle parts slightly. So, the trial starts soon, at the end of this month, I guess. Yes. And I'm involved in it somehow? Want to talk about it later? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm getting a bit nervous. But Amicus doesn't seem to be worried, and that puts me at ease. At least a little bit. That's when I notice a particular bulge in Amicus's undergarments, the one I'd noticed when I brushed him yesterday. Oh my god, please don't talk about it. I'm not surprised this time, though. If brushing had done it to him, rubbing definitely would too. So I ignore it, and so does Amicus, or maybe he's just asleep. I realize then just how much I've accepted my life here, rubbing this prospective Emperor Wolf's belly, even though I know it's making him hard. But I also realize that I don't really mind it. It's only been a few days, but there's something about this wolf. I don't know, I just like him. Sounds like Stockholm Syndrome. Okay, it's like... I swear to God, it's like Stockholm Syndrome. Like, let me Google that shit. Okay, let me share my monitor. Okay, Stockholm Syndrome is a coping mechanism to a captive or abusive situation. People develop positive feelings toward their captors or abusers over time. This condition applies to situations including child abuse, coach-athlete abuse, relationship abuse, and sex trafficking. Therefore, this is just like Stockholm Syndrome, but like, Amicus starts to snore, so I slowly stop rubbing, watching his chest rise and fall with the steady breaths. I think about going back over to my sofa, but instead I just roll over to Amicus's left, curling up on my side in the soft pillows. With the relaxing sounds of Amicus's gentle snores behind me, I drift off into a light sleep. Aww. Over the next week or so, I start to get used to my new life. I find that the days are easy to adjust to, and like Alex said, 19 hours in a day isn't all that bad. Though the sleeping period is a bit shorter than I'm used to, it's been easier now that I sleep on Amicus's bed. After I'd fallen asleep next to him, we decided that there was enough room. The wolf set one of his many long pillows down between us as a courtesy to me, even if he did sometimes end up rolling over onto my end. He's been busy these past few days, and I think it's because of what happened between him and Kato. He doesn't suggest any more outings, and instead wakes up early to go to meditation before leaving for the city to do various campaigning stuff. Amicus doesn't explain exactly what that involves, and he doesn't bring me along. I ask why, considering I thought my main job was to accompany him to these things, but he just says he's not doing the stuff that involves me quite yet. Instead, my introduction to the people of Adastra is going to be during the first trial. He says the reveal will be a lot more impressive that way, and that rumors are already spreading about his new pet. That's another thing, my involvement in the trial. Apparently, I'm to be his partner in the dance portion, something I have no clue how to do. I've been getting more and more worried about it, telling Amicus he actually needs to show me what I'm going to be doing, but he brushes me off, telling me it's no big deal. Apparently, the dancing is rather easy, and the main objective is just to show me off. Since everyone already knows what Alex is, I should be rather impressive to the officials that will be judging us. Amicus is confident that we'll win that portion of the contest easily. Still, he promises me at least a few sessions of practice before the actual day of the competition. I realize now that that's only 3 days away, and despite Amicus's constant reassurances, I can feel the stress building. I can only trust him that the dance is actually easy and simply an opportunity to show me off. Meanwhile, half of my days tend to be empty of things to do. I've left on my own to either hang out in Amicus's room, have conversations with Com about Adastra and its culture, or just try and busy myself with menial work. Sometimes I hang out with Alex, which I enjoy, but lately I wonder if the idea that we're technically going to be competing against each other is causing a bit of a rift between us. Still, I get a lot of time with him since Cassius is out just as much as Amicus, if not more. We go into the gardens a few times, and other times we watch Adastran TV together, sometimes even catching Amicus or Cassius giving speeches in the seemingly endless crowds of wolves. Broadcasters seem to like tallying up numbers, and it's clear that Cassius always has an edge. Still, from what I've gathered, Amicus has had a bit of a surge and manages to at least do better than half of Cassius's numbers. It's still a little worrying though, but from what I can tell, popularity doesn't factor into the trials. When I'm not with Alex, I try to avoid running into any of the others, which is actually pretty easy. Cato is almost always absent from the palace, doing his own official business as acting emperor. Virginia hasn't bothered to talk to me after our first interaction, probably deeming me incapable of any sort of conversation. Nefero, on the other hand, is the one person I have difficulty avoiding. Unlike the others, he greets me when he sees me and occasionally sticks out his paw so that I have to kiss it. The only difference now is that after I do it, he does the same thing to me. I think I gave him the false impression that it's some sort of normal greeting for my people. He seems to enjoy it quite a bit, but only tries it when Amicus isn't around. As for Cassius, I don't see him for the entire week. Until today. I'm in the dining room, watching the screens and zoning out. Wolves are pretty talented at making basically all of their films incredibly boring. It's probably something to do with the long-winded monologues and theatrical acting. Alex is gone today, doing some type of ambassador work in the city, while Amicus is out with Cato, training, though he's supposed to be back in the next hour to give me that dance practice he's promised. I'm nodding off and thinking about heading back to Amicus's room and to take a quick nap when Cassius suddenly comes in. He stalks in with that particular stiff gait that he has, along with his usual sour expression. Even though it's been a while since I've seen him, I haven't forgotten that look of his. I jump and quickly sit up straight, looking at the ground. There's only a moment of silence before his reedy voice breaks in. "Pet, come with me." And with that, he turns and stalks right back out of the room. I sit there, stunned for a moment. First of all, Amicus told Cassius never to give me commands. Does that mean I shouldn't listen to him? I know immediately that that wouldn't be a very good idea, and I jump off my bed to hurry out into the hall. And the important thing is that Amicus isn't here right now, and I know that Cassius is not someone I want to piss off. I still remember how quickly he suggested he hit me as punishment. I'm just in time to see his white tail disappear around a corner, and I jog after him, noting just how confident he is that I'll follow him without question. I don't think he's even looked back once. I realize that we're heading out into the gardens, toward the same tables and benches that Alex and I have eaten our lunches at a few times. That's when I see Virginia and Nefero sitting down already, cups and plates already on the table. I realize then what it is Cassius summoned me for, and I relax a bit. After serving breakfast so many times, I know exactly what's expected of me. When Virginia spots us, she waves at Cassius, but he only grumbles under his breath. Ugh, why is he here? I see the wolf's tail lash around in irritation before it settles as we get closer to the pair. Good morning, Virginia. And Nefero. Cassius's voice takes on a dismissive tone as he says the jackal's name, barely even nodding his head at him. A hotep be with you, Cassius. How are you this day? Cassius's tail lashes again, but only once. Wonderful. Virginia, you didn't tell me we'd be having a guest. Virginia raised his brow. I'm sorry, did you need a warning of some kind, Cassius? Cassius sits, leaning back in the chair as he keeps his gaze on Virginia. I simply like to be prepared. There's a moment of silence, and Nefero, still smiling, looks back and forth between the brother and sister. I'm sorry, am I causing an inconvenience? No, Nefero, Cassius is simply being his usual gloomy self. Cassius's pause, which are clasped on the table, tighten their grip on each other. Virginia doesn't seem to notice, though, and instead looks up at me. "And you brought Marco?" Cassius doesn't even look at me. "I'm borrowing him. My pet is doing diplomatic work in the city." Virginia rolls her eyes. "Really, Cassius? You can't manage to serve yourself even once? If I am to be emperor, I need to act like one. And please leave questioning me for another time. I don't want to be rude to our guest." Cassius smiles at Neferu, though it looks forced. Another moment of tense silence. I take it as an opportunity to do my work. Me serve now? I almost snicker at my own caveman speech. Yes, pet. I go about serving him, picking up slices of baked and seasoned bread off the platter before setting them on a smaller plate. I set this in front of Cassius. Then I pour some tea out of the heated pot into Cassius's cup before finally stepping back, hands clasped together. Luckily, Cassius and Virginia act like I'm not there, carrying on their conversation. Only Neferu seems to be constantly aware of my presence, occasionally glancing at me. "Are you enjoying your stay here, Neferu?" Neferu snaps his gaze from me to Cassius. "Oh yes, very much so. You've all been so hospitable to me. I thank you." Cassius waves his paw. "It's the Wolven way, Neferu. No thanks are needed." Another moment of silence stretches out before Virginia reaches for a plate. "Can I get you some Pananem, Neferu?" But Neferu suddenly stands up. "Actually, I should be on my way. I can tell that you intended to speak with your sister alone, Cassius. Good day. And good day to you, Marco." I jump, but quickly duck my head in response. Neferu then wanders off into the gardens, paws behind his back as he disappears behind the bushes and flowers. Cassius looks after him, his ears lowered, the inside slightly red. He's rather blunt, isn't he? Virginia doesn't respond, and Cassius looks over to see that she's glaring at him. "What?" "He is our guest, Cassius. Start treating him like one." "What?" Cassius sighs and looks away, pouting. Virginia takes a sip of her tea before leaning back in her chair, letting the silence drag on a bit before finally speaking. "What is it, Cassius?" "What is what?" "Why are you sulking more than usual?" Cassius sighs. "I am very busy, Virginia, and I freed up this portion of my day to have good conversation. I've barely spoken to you since you returned, and I wanted to ask about your trip." Cassius takes a brisk sip from his cup. It's difficult to speak intimately with others when others are around, especially those of a different species. "Cassius, if you wanted to speak alone, you only had to ask. I was simply worried that Neferu was growing bored of the palace, so I invited him along." Virginia grins. "And you don't have to play emperor around me. I'm your sister. Lean back and relax a little bit." Cassius sighs again, but doesn't lean back. "I must play the role I intend to fit even when the situation does not call for it. You think father was always like that? I don't know. He did not speak to me much." "Well, he wasn't. You can relax around me, Cassius." Cassius sighs and eats one of the crackers, leaning back into his chair very slightly. "So how is Lux?" "Oh, you know, riots and crime and complaints about a lack of funding." "Well, there is a lack of funding." "There is a lack of funds, certainly, but not from us. You know the officials there are corrupt and take most of it." "That isn't the people's fault." "No, but they should choose their politicians more carefully. They're electing officials based on how outrageous they can be. How does that result in a sound government?" "The people are frustrated and the sentiment is spread throughout the empire. I've been telling you this for years." "Certainly, we all know this, but the question is how to fix it. By getting rid of the triumvirates the people elect. If we ruled directly, the empire would become as sound as the palace we govern from." And you expect to do that easily?" "I expect it to be very, very difficult, and it's something I intend to do very, very carefully. The people need direction, and electing chaotic triumvirates is their cry for help." Virginia doesn't say anything, instead taking a very dainty sip of tea from her cup. Cassius clears his throat and sits up straight again. "Anyway, why did you decide to bring this Chemian back with you? You never explained it clearly in your letters." "But I did. His accommodations in Lux were rather poor. Bringing him here and acquainting him with the imperial family seemed like the natural decision to me." "You know he's the pharaoh's second son." "Yes, but why was he in Lux, and why didn't I know about it?" Virginia shrugs. "You can't expect to know about every diplomatic visit that there is. Anyway, he was touring the siblings, and was in Lux when the depletion happened." My question is, why wouldn't the Pharaoh send a ship immediately to retrieve his own son? Alex makes sense, being your typical diplomat, but the son of a Pharaoh? He chose to stay. Cassius snorts. And why would he do that? Virginia stares at Cassius for a moment, a frown on her face. Cassius, you know the reason as well as I do. Despite the absolute chaotic, bankrupt, parentless mess our empire's in, the Chemians are willing to ally with us. He's trying to help establish that. They are taking advantage of us when we're at our weakest, Virginia. You know how I feel about this, and that I have no plans for an alliance. I'm planning for all scenarios, Cassius, and as of now, you aren't guaranteed the Emperorship. Cassius doesn't say anything, staring at his empty plate. Slowly, I walk up to the table and refill the plate. Neither of the wolves look at me. We should be grateful the Chemians even want to speak with us. None of the other siblings wants to be associated with the race that seems to have been abandoned. We don't know that yet. Well, they aren't speaking to us, are they? And they left us starbound. If this is permanent, we may never be able to travel beyond the star system again. That catches my attention. Didn't Amicus tell me that when he becomes Emperor, he'd be able to take me back? They're acting like they won't have the stretch drive forever. Cassius laughs. Once we have a new Emperor, they will give us guidance again. They stopped immediately after Father's death. What other explanation could there be? They didn't after Grandfather's death. Cassius waves his paw in the air. Because Father was in line for the throne without any challenge, the Emperorship has not been in limbo like this in living memory. They are simply waiting for the Empire to have a firm leadership again before re-establishing contact. Cassius snatches a cracker off of the plate I just refilled. It has happened before. Even if that was before Drusus. But even if we're not able to, I have no doubt that I can still lead this empire to prosperity. And how would we do that without the stretch? We'd not be able to communicate with our children anymore. If the Chemians learned the stretch, then so can we. As for our children, abandon them. They've only been a burden anyway. Cassius glances at me and I quickly look down at the ground. Virginia sighs loudly. Sometimes the things you say frighten me, Cassius. Well, you know it would be less so if you were on my side, Virginia. I'm on no one's side, Cassius. It's my duty to serve the Emperor, no matter who that might be. You are on Amicus's side. It's clear as Vita. Preference does not matter in the end. I don't like Cato, yet I serve him. Cassius's ears flatten and he looks around. Lower your voice when you say such things, Virginia. And why are you saying you dislike me like you do Cato? Well, of course not, but like I said, your ideas are extreme. Radical ideas are needed for times like these. It's how I've gotten so far with the people. Well, just remember that you and Amicus are both my brothers, and I love you equally. Just be civil when the decision is made. Cassius. We all jump as Amicus's voice seems to rattle the ivy on the pillars. Cassius settles back in his seat, rolling his eyes. What, Amicus? What the hell are you doing with my pet? Calm says you have him. He wanted to serve me. How could I deny him? Do not lie to me, Cassius. I told you never to talk to him. Are you going to yell at me or tell me where you are so I can send him back? Where are you? I'm going to come out there. Cassius does look a little worried then. Calm, where's Amicus? The main hall, Cassius. I'm coming out. Pet, go back inside and do not tell him where we were. Cassius shoos me away while Virginia just chuckles behind a paw. I make my way back inside, though Amicus meets me right at the entrance. He glares. What the hell does he think he's doing? What did he make you do? Amicus sits upon my shoulder, looking me over. Not much. I just served him while he talked to Virginia. Unbelievable. Amicus makes as if to walk out into the gardens. Where are you going? Going to give Cassius a piece of my mind. I specifically told him not to. I set a hand on his arm, stopping him. Hey, it's fine. Is it? Because last I remember, he threatened to hit you. He didn't touch me at all. He ignored me the whole time. Amicus looks out into the gardens, still clearly wanting to go out there. Listen, I just want to get this dance practice done. I've been worried about it all week. Amicus pauses, then sighs, turning back to walk into the palace. Fine. When I let Cassius get away with things like this, he tends to push you even further the next time. We walk in silence for a bit, our footsteps echoing like they always do in the marble halls. Are you alright? I'm fine, why? Well, you seem a little grumpy. It was just a long day in the city. Unlike Cassius, speeches don't come naturally to me. Sometimes I just need to get used to. I walk alongside the wolf, feeling his furry arm brush up against mine. So, when do I get to go to the city? The wolf tilts his muzzle down at me in surprise. Oh, do you want to go? Well, yeah, didn't you say I could? It's getting kind of boring here. Well, I'd say once the first trial is done, you'd be introduced to the public by then, so everyone will know who you are when we go. Can I plan on that, then? Of course. I'm just surprised you want to see the city so badly. Well, looking at it from the balcony all the time has me curious. Well, visually it's not all that impressive. There are cities out there with larger structures and attractions. Adastra is mostly a city for imperial officers and their families. Still, we could find some entertainment, I'm sure. As long as it isn't like the films I've seen on your TV. Well, it would be live entertainment, but it would be somewhat similar. Actually, if you don't like that, then you may not like the dance I'm about to show you. I realize then that we're walking in a new direction in the palace, down a hall I haven't been through since Alex gave me the palace tour. Where are we going? The throne room. Should be empty right now. It's where we'll be performing. I feel myself getting a little nervous as we approach a large set of double doors. Amicus presses his paw to the black panel and they slide open. Inside, I'm greeted by the largest room in the palace that I've seen yet. I look up from the glistening walls, craning my neck to see the ceiling arched dozens of meters above us. Afternoon light filters through the windows, lighting up the palace in a warm orange glow. Wow. You like it? Yeah. I look at the throne, framed by pillars and crystals that appear to be levitating. The crystals look similar to other structures in the palace that are used mainly for light source. It's just that these ones are a lot bigger. Amicus walks into the center of the room, our footsteps sounding much more cavernous here. We actually don't use it very often, it's more for tradition. So you won't sit on the throne all day yelling at people? Sadly, no. I can only remember a handful of times that Father sat in it. I look around a bit, spinning in a slow circle. When I see Amicus again, he's quiet. His arms are folded as he stares at the throne. The look on his face tells me that he's deep in thought. I clear my throat. So did you want to show me the dance? Oh, right. Amicus walks toward me until he's standing just a few feet away. He sighs, then frowns, his ears down. What? I wait, but he doesn't say anything. What? I say it a little more loudly, feeling nervous. Well, seriously, you're stressing me out. Alright, listen, the role you'll be playing might seem a bit strange to you. Role? What do you mean by that? Amicus takes a deep breath, as if only now realizing what our practice session is going to involve. The dance we'll be doing is titled Mira, and it will involve things that you might find objectionable. Objectionable? Alright, so let me explain this correctly. Basically, we will be playing the roles of Drusus and Mira, an emperor and his lover. Wait, so this is like a play or musical? I'm playing a character? Well, of course. It's a dance. Well, I guess, but you never told me that I'd also be acting. Isn't acting part of dancing? What's the point of dance if you're not telling a story? I cover my face with my hands, rubbing it in frustration. Listen, quit saying these things to me like I should just know it. We're from different worlds. Of course things aren't the same on Earth. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. You're so much like a wolf that I forget. It's fine, but what is it that I'd find objectionable? I remember his description of the dance included the word lover. Wait, what sort of things am I going to have to do with you? The look on Amicus's face worries me. I feel myself getting angry, realizing now why Amicus had put this off for so long. I glare at him. Nothing too explicit, but there's caressing and a kiss at the end. Oh my god. I let my head drop, closing my eyes. I'm sorry, I don't make up the dances or the rules. It's simply tradition. I let the silence drag out, letting Amicus squirm. But weirdly enough, I'm not as angry as I thought I'd be. Knowing Amicus for the 2 weeks I've been here, I guess I kind of just expected from him. Still, he's been nothing but respectful to me over the past few weeks, and if it means I can go home... Is that it? You caress me a little and kiss me at the end? For the most part, yes, and you're playing the role of a female, so you must dress a certain way. Are you kidding me? I feel my face flush red, something that Amicus has told me is kind of unnerving to see for someone covered in fur. Why do I have to do it then? Go get a female dancer or something. A professional would do this way better than me. That's not the point of the trial. Me teaching you is part of it, and it's simply the role of the pet to do so. You should have told me this last week, Amicus. Amicus doesn't seem to have an answer for that besides a mumbled sorry. We stand there in awkward silence for a little while longer before Amicus squares his shoulders. Listen, I will not force you to do anything you don't want to. That I promise. But doing this dance convincingly is needed for us to win. I sigh loudly. Who's even judging this? Cato and the triumvirates from the 5 other major cities. Triumvirates? Groups of 3 that govern the cities. So why do you even have to know music or dance to become an emperor anyway? Well, the more rounded the wolf, the better he is for the emperorship. An emperor that can fight just as well as he can dance shows good character. Alright, fine, just show me the dance. Amicus lets out one of those relieved sighs that he seems to have reserved just for me. Thank you. Again, I'm sorry. I was just so busy with official business and everything else, I didn't know how to approach you about this. Well, next time just tell me. I'm honestly more annoyed that you waited so long. Isn't the trial in a few days? 3 days. Great. But it's a simple dance. You'll be able to learn it in a few hours. Then we can practice tomorrow, too. Alright. I look around. So do we have music or something? No, we don't need music, do we? I mean, I guess not. On Earth we usually dance to music without having to tell a story. Oh, really? So you just dance for no reason? Kind of. We usually dance to have fun. So why do you need music? I think. Oh, fuck. It's such a basic thing, but I've never had to explain it to anyone else, so I find myself trying to figure out the right way to go about it. We need a beat, or rhythm to dance to. I mean, not always, but usually we move to an even-spaced beat. Amicus absorbs that for a second, then chuckles. What? It's such a primate thing to do, to bang sticks and rocks together. You love your rhythms. Just sounds so, interesting. I frown, immediately picking up on the condescension. You mean primitive? No, just different. I sigh, letting it go for now. At least he's trying, I guess. Anyway, we're going to have an orator narrate this story for us. It's a combination of speaking and singing. I'll do that for now, though, well, not the singing. I'll just speak. I stand there waiting, and Amicus coughs awkwardly. Anyway, Amicus reaches out a paw, and I take it after a short pause. Slowly, he draws me closer to himself, to the point that I can smell the lavender and floral mouthwash on his breath. I'm going to lead you through the movements first while narrating. Then we'll start from the beginning again, alright? I nod in agreement, and with that, Amicus starts to narrate the story. 10,000 years ago, our empire was small, shriveled, and parentless. We abandoned them, and were left to drift through the galaxy alone. Amicus turns me away from him to face the throne, his paw on my shoulder. Then Drusus, our dear emperor, came along and made a proposition. Amicus steps forward lightly on his toes, gesturing broadly with his paw. Let us reconnect with our parent, and through them, the rest of the universe. But it was not so easy. The siblings, long tired of woven hubris, were reluctant to know them again. I stand there awkwardly, watching Amicus move around me in a sort of interpretive dance, mostly involving prancing and big gestures out with his paws. That was until he met Mira, a Hindo sibling. Amicus turns to me, then, stretching out a paw again, this time flat, like he's telling me to stop. Alright, so just reach out the same way and press your paw to mine. I do as he asks, watching as his massive paw almost seems to envelop mine. He slowly pushes my hand upward, drawing me closer as he does. But before they could help it, they've fallen in love. The story goes on for a while, Amicus teaching me the steps and hand movements as he does. The process is slow and tedious, but Amicus is patient with me and tells me that it's not the choreography that's necessarily important, but rather the feeling and passion we put into the movements. The story describes Mira and Drusus' relationship, evolving from one of official diplomatic business to true love. But it doesn't last long because Mira becomes sick from an unspecified illness and is about to die. The parents offer Drusus 2 options: save Mira, or save his empire and promise his people prosperity for the next 10,000 years. Drusus wants to choose Mira, even if it means damning his empire for millennia. At this point in the story, Amicus draws me into his chest, my back pressed to his front as he holds me close, his voice rumbling in his chest. Then the story takes a sudden turn. Mira denies Drusus his own decision, instead taking her own life so that his empire might survive. Here, I'm supposed to put the back of my hand to my head, like I'm an old-timey woman in a corset passing out. Amicus carefully lowers me to the ground, laying me flat on my back. And so it was that another sibling saved our empire. Drusus was forced into his one remaining choice, which was no longer a choice. Amicus stands slowly, raising a paw to the sky, pointing. To the stars, he said. We are now Adastra. Amicus holds the pose for a moment, then looks down at me. Is that it? Yes. I sit up, and Amicus reaches down to help me to my feet. Wasn't so bad, was it? Well, no, not really. As long as it doesn't matter if I don't do all the steps, right? Steps right. No, you just have to have a general idea of it. Remember, it's the feeling you need to get, the tragedy of it all. So is that story true? Seems like a weird choice to give someone, and he made a really stupid decision. He basically killed Mira. Amicus shrugs. It's mostly just a dramatic story, but Drusus was a real person, and so was Mira. She did take her own life, but we don't really know why, or the extent of their relationship. And what about the kiss? You said the dance would involve that. Uh, thought we should leave that for the actual performance. I assume you don't want me kissing you over and over. Yeah, that's probably for the best. Anyway, let's do it a few more times to get you into the feel of it before we focus on the acting portion tomorrow. For the next few hours, we go through the steps over and over. By the end, we're both sweaty, being so close to each other while Vita shines in on us. Alright, why don't we take a break? Sure. Would you like to go to the communal bath? Where everyone takes a bath together? For the first time, I can really smell the musk coming off of Amicus. It's not bad, but mixed with the lavender smell, it's a little bit strange. Well, more to have a hot soak to ease the tension in the muscles. Don't worry, you can keep your underwear on if you prefer. Oh, okay. Great. Yo, did I actually, program it right? Ugh. Fuck, oh fuck. Downloads. Adastra 17 win. Because I'm, so nervous. Yeah, I think the file is called back off. Yeah. Yeah, I did it right. What about Neferu? Did I do his right? Yep. He's in his undies. Amicus leads the way out of the throne room and back into the marble halls. The cooler air hits my sweaty skin, and I realize that I probably don't smell so great either. The perfume the wolves use isn't all that strong. I adjust my robe, not liking the way the fabric sticks to my skin. Actually, all this dancing has me wishing I had jeans back. The dance position had me feeling like it was hitching up and exposing my underwear. Can I wear pants when we do the dance? Pants? Why? I don't know. I guess it's just easier to move around in them. Well, you'll be wearing a Hindo costume, which are also rather billowy. Sorry. Billowy. Why do you wear pants anyway? No one else does. Well, they've been coming into fashion over the last few years. I thought wearing a pair would endear the people to me. Do you want them to think you're hip? Well, I want them to think that I'm forward-thinking. I want them to believe that I'm forward-thinking. Everyone else in the palace has this aura of traditionalism, which is not something I'm aiming for. Amicus adjusts his pants near the crotch. I've learned to prefer them over the robe, but in situations that involve a lot of sweating, it can grow a bit uncomfortable under the leather. Amicus stops by a door that I'd never noticed before, much smaller than the entrance to the throne room. He presses his paw to another black panel, the door sliding open. I'm immediately hit by a wall of humid warmth, steam wafting out through the open door. I follow the wolf inside, my skin immediately growing sticky and hot. making me wish that it was a swimming pool instead of what I assume is a giant hot tub. The wolf starts to strip off his clothing. Well, shit. Fuck. Okay, fuck. Okay, should I just end the stream here and try and fix it for tomorrow? Or just fix it on stream? Actually see something real quick. Here. Okay. Well, honestly, with that error, it kind of seems like a good idea to just leave off here because that was truly terrifying. Just a little bit. So let me head to the main menu and stay safe. Have a good night.